Bungie, if you remove Nova Warp because it's not quote unquote IP defining, I will fly my butt down to your studio so you can catch these hands. Welcome back, Guardians, to another Dream Team video. I'm your humble host, Meesum777. Today we're going to take a look at the Voidwalker, my baby, my love of my life, the thing I've been playing in Destiny for like 6 years. We're going to rework it a little bit. I guess you're probably wondering, why in the world would you want to rework it? Well, because Bungie's been talking about they want to move some of the stuff that we currently have, which is the set tree node system, into the new darkness system, where we can pick and choose what we want. So I did a little bit of homework for Bungie, and I've sat down with a pen and paper, way too much free time, and I've gone ahead and done it for them. Now, one thing I want to throw out here before we get going is, of course, first of all, be sure to subscribe. It helps justify my choice of a career path of making YouTube a thing, to justify my social anxieties to the bullies that said that gaming could never be a career. Help me prove them wrong, will ya? And secondly, it'll check my homework. I encourage community discussion, so if you have a disagreement, drop it in the comments. All right? That's all I need to say. Let's get going. Let's first talk about some of the design principles I have going into this so you understand where my head's at, so you can know where I'm going with these. First and foremost, I want to be able to keep what you love. I want to be able to formulate the new subclasses in such a way that you are able to maintain what you love about a subclass. So if you like running the exact same top tree Nova Bomb that you did last time, then you should be capable of doing that in the new system. Don't take away the stuff I already love, right? Secondly, I want to allow things to interact in such a way that it allows for more interesting ways of playing. For example, if this ability was on this tree, how would that work? Would that be fun? Would that be interesting? Just the fact that they can now mix and match should be entertaining to play with, right? And lastly, anything that's kind of boring or maybe lagging behind in terms of power level, let's bring that up just a bit and make it more interesting to play so that players have a better time doing it. All right. A lot of the stuff you've already seen this stuff before. I'm not going to be touching a lot of the classics. So first of all, your jumps, nothing new. You got your strafe, your blink, and your burst. No reason to touch with the classics, right? Secondly, grenades, all the same. Scatter, Vortex, Axion. I considered making some type of grenade, like an additional grenade, but I wasn't sure. I'll throw it out to you guys here. We could call it like Shadow Bolt, or something along those lines. The idea here, similar to how the Prenumble Blast works on the Stasis Warlock, where when you throw the grenade, it's essentially a just fire and explode, and it'll immediately damage the target for 50 and heal you for 50. I thought about making something like that as a grenade. I think that'd be kind of cool, but I figured it's probably best we don't mess with grenades too much. Let me know what you guys think of that grenade in particular. Let's roll forward, shall we? Riffs, again, everything exactly the same. Healing and powering, nothing new to really touch on there. I think exotics should be the things that interact with those, okay? Melees. This is where it gets interesting. So I want to make sure you guys are catching the wording on this, because some of this is going to be different than what you're used to, but a lot of it should be pretty similar, okay? So make sure you're picking up on the subtleties of this. First of all, melees, entropic pull. Melee hits recharge a large portion of grenade energy for a short period. Now catch that wording on that, short period. Keep that in the back of your mind as we're rolling forward, okay? Devour. Melee kills refresh health and a portion of grenade energy for a short period. Okay, now you might notice something a little bit odd there, that something might be missing. Hold on to that. We're getting to this. Here's the thing. All right, taking a bit of a side detour right here. Hunter was easy. If you've seen my other video, I talked about reworking Hunter, Golden Gun in particular. That was easy. The way that Hunters work are very idiomatic. They can be broken apart and they still work with one another. You can take Top Tree's proximity knife and put it on the weighted knife and it still works fine. And maybe it's not quite as synergistic, but it still works. Nothing's broken. Warlocks don't work like that. Warlocks are intricately woven within their kits. So the way, let's take Bottom Tree Nova, for example. Devour is all throughout that tree. It is everywhere in that tree. And if you were to break that up, it gets weird, right? If you were to say it triggers Devour effects on a loadout that doesn't have Devour equipped, it's confusing, especially to new players who maybe don't know what Devour is. It's confusing. So I'm having to work around that a little bit. I think I've gone through so many drafts on this. I think I've got it figured out. Okay, so let's roll forward. Atomic Breach. This is Middle Tree Nova Warps. Melee hits push nearby enemies away and cause a void explosion. Now note I said nearby enemies. This is a small buff to this melee. I know it doesn't necessarily need a buff in PvP, which is why this wouldn't really affect it. The way that it works is instead of it being just a single target push and explode like it does right now, this would push all targets away from you. So yes, this is a improvement on it, which I think is arguable for this. I think this melee is strong in PvP, really strong, and I think in PvE it's solid. So I think that this makes it more of a crowd control tool, which would be a good way to, good way to go with this. Let me know what you think of that one, okay? Rolling forward, I have added a new melee to this one. This one's actually from D1 called Soul Rip. Melee kills increase super recharge rate for a short period, or extend its duration. Now note, I said or extend its duration as if you could use your melee in your super, which you can't, and you might be confused on that. Again, hold that in the back of your mind, alright? This will all come clear here. This is a whole bunch of puzzle pieces we're having to slam together, okay? Moving on to the aspects. A lot of this is going to be the super, the other half is going to be the grenade charging stuff, okay? First super aspect, Cataclysm. Your super is larger and seeks towards enemies but travels much slower. Shoot your Nova Bomb to detonate it early, okay? Now, again, the way that aspects work, in case you are not aware, maybe you don't have Beyond Light, is that you can slot your aspects with other aspects. They're not mutually exclusive. So for example, melees, you can only have one melee. You can't take two melees in lieu of a grenade. You can only have one melee, right? Aspects don't work like that, so they have to be able to interact with one another. By the way, some people in the last video said that stuff like fragments and stuff will be across all of the supers or across all of the light-based subclasses. For this in particular, I think it just needs to stay local to itself, not only to help maintain quote-unquote IP-defining stuff, but also just to make things easier in terms of balance, right? Rather than having to design, fragments and such that are across all of the Warlock subclasses, we can just focus on just Nova Bomb and just Voidwalker. Okay, Cataclysm. And note that I said on Cataclysm specifically that I said your super. I didn't say Nova Bomb. Okay, it's important. It's important. Warlock brain stuff going on here. Bear with me. Rolling forward. Vortex. Your super's detonations create singularities which continuously damage targets caught inside. Kills with your super trigger melee effects. Ooh, and we get to the first pushing and piecing together of the puzzle. All right, it triggers your melee effects, not Devour. If you remember, Vortex previously would say that it triggers Devour, but we can't always guarantee that Devour is going to be something we have equipped. So it explicitly triggers your melee effects. So this is the cool thing, and I'm going to explain. I'm going to pull away the curtain right here. The way that these work right now is that all of the stuff that previously would trigger like Devour's effects now trigger your melee's effects explicitly. So whatever you pick for your melee is essentially picking what type of buffs you want to take for your Warlock for the rest of your kit. So you can spec hard into having this melee effect trigger and re-trigger and continuously stay fed, right, over and over again, just like how Devour used to work. And you might be a little concerned with how, for example, I know some people are going to say this is a bit of a concern for Soul Rip, because the melee kills increase your super recharge rate for a short period. I know some people are a little bit scared of supers and things like trials, which is completely fair. If you're wondering how much energy you're going to get from this, think about how like pump action would work, right? It would give you a chunk of energy increase, but it wasn't like you would get your super incredibly quickly, right? It's not like some kind of like 100 intellect thing. It just bumped the super every time you got a kill. That's the way that that will work, in case you were concerned about how Soul Rip would interact with this stuff, okay? Let's not get bogged down. Let's roll forward. Nova Warp. Now this is cool. I love the way I personally reworked Nova Warp. I know, toot my own horn here, right? Obviously, and I love Nova Warp's my baby. You can see the gameplay in the back. Nova Warp's my baby. But anyway, holding super transforms you into your Nova Bomb. Ooh, press attack while active to detonate, and press whatever button to teleport. Ooh, options. So just like how something like Top Tree Sentinel works, you can choose with this aspect to go into Nova Warp, or you can just throw a regular ass Nova Bomb. No Vortex, no Cataclysm, just normal ass Nova Bomb. You could do that if you wanted to. And if you wanted to run Nova Warp plus Vortex or Nova Warp plus Cataclysm, you could do that. And you can note, you can go back and rewatch it, but you can see how I worded everything. It should be fair. It should be balanced in terms of what we have here. Also in terms of, because every time you equip an aspect, it's supposed to open up the amount of slots you can get for fragments. For example, Stasis Warlock has a lot more fragments it can slot because its aspects allow more fragments to be slotted in, where something like Hunter and Titan don't have as much. These super altering aspects don't do that. They don't open up any fragments. So if you want to double down on your super, you are explicitly taking away from your neutral game, okay, to help keep it balanced. I think that's a good way to do it. You could spec super hard for super, you could spec super hard for neutral game, okay? All right, let's roll forward. Next aspect, something you've already seen. Chaos Accelerant holds grenade to charge it, making it last longer and more effective. We've already seen that. Handheld Supernova, nothing changed here. Hold grenade to convert your grenade into a short-range blast of void energy. Nothing new. Feed the Void, hold grenade to consume your grenade and trigger your melee effects. There's that triggering, there's that synergy again, right? Pretty damn neat. So what this means is you could, with the Feed the Void in particular, you could run a very super heavy build. You could run like Soul Rip on it, and instead of getting your health and grenade energy back when you get a kill, you get more super energy. So it's a bit of a diminishing return, right? You can't regain your grenade back, but you can keep your super energy up a little bit more, right? I'd say it's a completely fair trade. A little bit of grenade energy for a little bit of super energy, and then you have to continuously get kills after that. I think that sounds fair. I think that balances it out. But again, let me know what you think in the comments, all right? Rolling forward, fragments. Number 1, Bloom. Ability kills trigger void explosions. Nothing new. I think this works fine. This is a great IP-defining Warlock ability. Next up, Dark Matter. Ability kills grant ability energy. Now you might note that I haven't added the health to that explicitly because I want to open up some more options and I want to make it so that you have to slot for both if you want to go for that old Nova Warp style, right? Because Nova Warp, obviously we've already kind of slightly buffed Nova Warp to make it more interesting in PvE, more IP defining in PvE, right? Next up, Insatiable. Ability kills trigger melee buffs. Ooh, so you can use your grenade to trigger your melee's effects. You can get your melee's buffs off of a grenade kill, or you can do it off of a Nova Bomb, right? All that stuff can trigger your melee's effects, and that's where Soul Rip comes in handy. That's why I said it also extends its duration, because if you run Soul Rip plus Insatiable, it can extend the duration of your Nova Warp, because now getting the kills with your super, all abilities, right, your super being one of them, now triggers that effect. So if you want to run a really long-lasting Nova Warp, you can do that. Soul Rip and Nova Warp, and now you can have this longer-lasting Nova Warp, but you have to spec explicitly for it. You have to give up some other neutral game to get it. Sounds fair to me. Let me know what you think, though, okay? Next up on the list, Disciple of Chaos increases the size of super detonations, just a flat buff to the amount of explosion that you get. If you want to get a bigger boom, that's how you do it. So if you want to run Cataclysm, the big freaking Nova Bomb with more explosive energy, that's the way you do it. It's essentially brings it up to where it was, so it'd be roughly the same size as to where it was. This is how you can slot back to that old system, but if you want to break it up and apply it to the Vortex, let's just say, you can do that. All right? Disciple of Fission. Void ability kills regenerate a portion of health. That is kind of like the broken up version of Dark Matter that we saw earlier, right? So nothing really crazy there. And of course, again, you can run this with other types of trees, right? Anyway, rolling forward. Disciple of Hunger. Kills while your melee buffs are active, refresh its effects. So that's how you will be able to continuously trigger like that Devour style build. So if you want to go back into that old style Devour, you can run that. You can obviously run Devour, run your Vortex. Boom, you've got it right there. Rolling forward, these are 2 new fragments because I guarantee Bungie's going to want to add some new stuff for us to chase after, right? So here you go. Singularity. Grenade multi-kills create an orb of power. I think that sounds completely fine. And things like PvP, it's going to be kind of tricky to get a grenade multi-kill, so if you happen to get it, getting an orb of power, which can trigger things like Charged with Light, or maybe just trigger some of those regenerating effects for your boots, like getting your melee grenade, class ability energy, all your ability energy back on your boots. This is a way to do it. For PvE, this is a way for you to get better access to Charged with Light builds for Warlock explicitly. I think that we should start looking to Charged with Light for our basic builds, right? So that's a way to do it. And the last one here, Accretion. Damaging enemies with void abilities increase movement speed and recovery rate. So this allows you to play a more run and gun build with your Voidwalker, as Nova Warp being a very run and gun heavy play style. This helps encourage that. This essentially gives you that, that Killing Wind style of mobility buff, plus it essentially bumps up your recovery a few tiers while it's active. This is kind of a way to trade off the health you get from, say, like the Disciple of Fission, where you get that energy back, just how current Middle Tree Nova Warp works right now. I think this is a kind of a nice substitute for it. Or if you just want to run this like, I'm going to blow absolutely everything in this room up and just run through it, you could do it that way too. But hey, those are my ideas. I would love to hear your ideas down in the comment section down below. Like I said, if you're new, be sure to subscribe. Bless your faces, and deuces. Hey guys, I had a post-recording thought. I put out a straw poll for if we were to play a game other than Destiny, what would you like to see? And it is really, really tight. So if you want to get your voice heard, make sure that you vote on it. I'll put the link to the straw poll in the pinned comments down below so you can take a look at it. If you want to see something particular, check that out. Thanks.